Hi, my name is Olivia. I work as a lead at Lingoport for internationalization projects. One of the things that we are asked, especially for embedded device applications, is how do keyboards work when you want to enter data, let's say in Chinese or in Turkish or in another language. Usually a keyboard looks like this, right? You have K, Q, W, E, R, T, Y over here. And when you type those letters, this is what happened. This is pretty much my keyboard here, my hardware keyboard. And I type those letters and they appear magically here, right? Well, what happens when I want to work in a language that has different letters? Or even worse, when I have ideograms that I need to write out here. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of that. There is an article on Lingoport's site that details a lot more about that. But I want to give you a flavor of what happens. The first thing is that keyboard that you're seeing right here, that keyboard, whenever I press, let's say I'm going to press the C letter here. When I pressed that right here over at that hardware, the C software, the software didn't read the C. A signal was sent, it was a code, it was sent to a driver for the operating system, and then the driver itself decides which software characters was entered for, in that instance, Word. So in other words, this is just whatever is written, the Q here or the W here, they are just indication of, for that key press, what's going to happen. But you can really set your operating system to have a bunch of different other input methods, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, or keyboard's layout. So I'm going to go to a French keyboard layout. I just moved that to France here, and to show you what the layout is now, I'm going to bring Comfort on-screen keyboard, which is a software keyboard, and that software keyboard, you see here QWERTY, that's in English. I'm going to type here, I'm going to click here, and you'll notice that it changed because for that particular application I'm in French. And now the A replaces the Q, and you see the original letter here, it's that Q. Now when I type here, it's going to be an A. And that's because of that setting right here on your operating system that says, change the layout of my keys. The key that's located here now, I want it to determine an A character. And you notice that you have accented characters like this A accent aigu or this A accent grave here. This particular character, so those are French, very French characters, right? And when I'm clicking here, but I'm now going to type QWERTY on my US keyboard, still with that setting, and this is what happened. When I type Q, an A gets printed. W is a Z. And then ERTY are the same letters. And you've noticed also here on the on-screen Comfort keyboard that those letters were typed. So pretty much the first step in terms of the setting of my operating system to understand what key is pressed is very simply that first step right here, which is also in settings. In settings here, I'm going to move that guy over here. I'm saying here is my default input language, which is for my system at large, which is why when I escape, when I go here, it's going to be for English. When I go back here, it's going to be for French. I've added a number of languages here: Japanese, Chinese traditional, and for each one of those I have a separate keyboard. So the first step is really to determine what languages and what keyboards are related to that language, and to do that you just do an add here on your services to add an input language. So it could be something as simple as English from Canada, for instance. And here you have a specific keyboard. By doing an add, you're going to add this guy here. I'm going to cancel it because I have enough English here. But that's what you need to do. And I'm going to change here to Norwegian now. Here is Norwegian. And you'll notice that those letters here that are typically a semicolon, an apostrophe here, and you see them at the top of this here. I'm going to click on those letters, and now they're going to be the typical Norwegian letters. So I'm going to do the Ö, the E, and the O, which is right after the P here. Those are Norwegian letters. So you could, once you have this layout, you can plug in a hardware keyboard that looks like this particular layout here, or you can use your current layout, which is the QWERTY keyboard pretty much, and type on those keys, and the code generated here will be interpreted at those letters. That's for the simple part of it. Now you have what's called input methods. And that's because in some languages, it's not just letters that you're using, but it's ideograms. So you may have thousands of ideograms, and you cannot have reasonably a keyboard that's going to have thousands of separate ideograms. So in order to construct those ideograms, you're going to use what's called an input method. And that input method or input method editor is something that will say, well, for Chinese, for example, when I type some letters, here that's the regular letters, right? I'm going to change to something with an input method. I'm going to type the same letters, and now you're seeing some possible symbols or ideograms that are being typed here, and that are going to reflect either something more of a notion of katakana or kanji, or ideograms that are going to be selected here. So in other words, not only do you have the notion of which key is mapped to what symbol, so the Q here is mapped to that symbol, but also when I combine them, depending on that particular input method here, like Chongji, for example, when I combine those symbols, I'm going to have ideograms that are going to be prompted here. That they're going to tell me some of the combinations are not valid, but they're going to tell me what I can expect in terms of what is being typed in here. So that is pretty much combining both the regional settings to have English, Japanese, French, or other languages, and adding to that the input method for a specific language like Chinese, for example. I'm going to go to Japanese, and you're going to see that the input methods are yet different. I have to click here in the right window. There I have my Japanese, and here you notice that the input mode here is, in that instance, hiragana, but it could be katakana also. So here in hiragana, if I type QWERTY again, this is what happens. So both have a mapping of my keys and a way to input different symbols here. I hope it helps with understanding a little better what keyboards are, how they can be used in international markets. And sometimes you don't have hardware keyboards. Sometimes you have very simply, like we've seen before, the software keyboards. And a lot of embedded devices have those software keyboards. And the challenge for internationalizing software might be to make sure that those software keyboards work together with the particular regional settings or the operating system or the language, the target language that you have, seamlessly. That's it for this quick introduction to internationalization and keyboards, how they can be used to make your life easier in different markets.